forward. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you this afternoon, or for joining this afternoon. We have a discussion with the Montana Teacher-Librarian PLC that is very topical and very timely for this time of the year. And I'm just going to make sure that everyone has had a chance to check their audio settings. We'll have the opportunity to use our voices and to ask questions or to use the chat as well to ask questions or to add your information. If you have links to resources, feel free to use that as well. And if you wouldn't mind also just introducing yourself. So I'm going to type into the chat, Cole Barto, OPI, and that's how I'll do that in the chat there. But if you wouldn't mind going ahead and introducing yourself that way. And again, use the chat at any point if you want to interject or share something with the rest of the group. And I'll pay attention a little bit to that in case anybody has any audio issues or has other questions that they want to bring to the group. So with that, I'm going to go forward and welcome everyone to the Montana Teacher-Librarian online professional learning community. Chance for us to share on timely topics and to have discussions and to have this be more of a conversation than a presentation, although we have some very important information that Ann Ewbank is going to share with us. So there's Ann's lovely smiling face, and there's my stylistic portrait there. And so just wanted to let you know who will be doing most of the talking here in the next couple of minutes with the presentation. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and just turn it over to Ann, and you can take the keyboard and mouse. If you just click on the screen, then you should be able to, down on the lower left, advance the slides when you would like to do that. So thank you, Ann, very much for joining us. And there you go. And yep.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
You got it? All right. I'll edit this part out of the recording. No worries about that. But also just remind everyone, if you're joining us, please introduce yourself in the chat, and we'll go ahead and have, I might have taken the controls back away from you. But go ahead and just click again, and you should, there you go. Okay, so Ann, go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to thank you all for participating in this online PLC in real time, and also welcome to those of you who are viewing this recording after the fact. My name is Ann Ewbank, and I'm an assistant professor and the director of the School Library Media Program at Montana State University in Bozeman. And I come to you today wearing my advocacy hat, providing some information to all school librarians in the state about the Every Student Succeeds Act and how that is going to impact school libraries and school librarians here in Montana. So the first thing I'd like to share with you is just some background about ESSA and how it supports school libraries. So the first thing that you need to know is that ESSA is the federal law that replaces No Child Left Behind. It is the reauthorization of the Federal Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and it was signed into law by President Obama December 10th, 2015. This is a product of a very long journey legislatively at the federal level, and it was slated to be reauthorized in 2007. It did not happen until 2015, and that's pretty normal for federal legislation to be up for reauthorization and then not get reauthorized for a long time as the legislative process takes its course, and the people in our representatives in Washington make negotiations and debate about what should and shouldn't be in the legislation. So Senator Lamar Alexander, who's a Republican, and Senator Patty Murray, who is a Democrat, launched a bipartisan effort to get it through this current Congress, and again it was signed into law by President Obama in 2015. So in conjunction with the long journey to reauthorization, the American Library Association in 2007 passed a resolution stating that our federal lobbyists in Washington would advocate for school libraries at the federal level, particularly including them in this act. And so what I'm going to talk to you about this afternoon is also a product of nearly 10 years of advocacy at the federal level on the part of the American Library Association. So for 10 years, the lobbyists that are employed by the American Library Association have chipped away and made coalition partners and done their work to make sure that school libraries and school librarians are represented in ESSA. This was not the case in No Child Left Behind. If you'll recall, No Child Left Behind did not have any provisions for school libraries or school librarians written into the law, and in fact it barred school librarians from receiving the same professional development opportunities as other educators in our K-12 education system. So this is a real victory on the part of ALA, its grassroots membership, and its lobbyists at the federal level. So what's in the new Every Student Succeeds Act? It includes new provisions that authorize but do not require school districts to include in their local plans how they'll assist schools in developing what's coined as an effective school library program, with the result of providing students an opportunity to develop digital literacy skills and improve academic achievement. And you'll see on the slide here that this notion of provisions that authorize but do not require is a really important point. In ESSA, unlike No Child Left Behind, ESSA really gives the control back to the states and the school districts, where No Child Left Behind was more of a top-down mandate. So school districts and the state of Montana can choose to include school libraries and school librarians in their plans, but they don't have to. So that's a really important point. It's an important point for advocacy, and what that means is that that our library community and all of our stakeholders that believe that libraries, especially school libraries, are essential to teaching and learning in the K-12 environment, have to make their voices heard. And so in the subsequent slides, I'll tell you a little bit about how that happens. All right. So there are also new provisions that authorize states and school districts to use grant and sub-grant funds for professional development for school librarians. Again, this was something that was left out of No Child Left Behind. So there's money on the table for professional development for school librarians. A little bit about the timeline. Like I said, in December 2015, President Obama signed ESSA into law. In March, Superintendent Denise Juneau called for applications for stakeholders to join a committee to assist in developing a draft state plan that will be submitted to the United States Department of Education. This stakeholder group included educators from and also school business officials, superintendents, educational leaders from a variety of settings in Montana, both urban and rural, and there were 31 stakeholders that were gathered at the table to provide input to OPI to assist in developing this draft plan. So they had a meeting in August, they had a meeting in October, another meeting just recently, November 10th. Superintendent Juneau met with tribal leaders on November 14th. And then on November 17th, the draft plan, so just last Thursday, the draft plan was released to the public for comment. So you might be wondering what actions we have taken to make sure that school libraries have a voice in this draft plan. We were not successful in getting anybody on the stakeholder committee, unfortunately, but I was able to present some talking points in a public comment period about how school libraries assist with digital literacy, assist with raising graduation rates, assist with preventing dropouts, and some other points that Superintendent Juneau mentioned as priorities in formulating the plan. So there was some public comment that was submitted related to school libraries, and then also in late September, early October, the Montana Library Association sent an official letter to Superintendent Juneau as well as Governor Steve Bullock and some of their staffers, outlining exactly what the provisions were in the new ESSA law that pertain to school libraries and school librarians, just as an awareness piece, and also demonstrating how school libraries and school librarians can contribute to Superintendent Juneau's priorities for the state plan. We are in the middle of looking through this 82-page state plan and just taking a look at some of the provisions therein to determine how we can proceed. So again, there's a call for public comment on the state draft plan. That's available at the OPI website, and it's on the very front page of the OPI website. Those comments will be accepted through December 16th. On December 23rd, the state plan will be submitted to the U.S. Department of Education that has to approve it. And then once it's approved by the U.S. Department of Education, the local education agencies, also known as school districts, will begin working on local plans in conjunction with what is written in the state plan. We don't know what that piece is going to look like yet because we're not quite there yet, but that is something that is coming up that might be beneficial for all of you that are listening to this webinar to think about. All right. So taking a look at the state draft plan, there are two places where school libraries or school librarians are mentioned. On page 25, they are mentioned in relationship to educator preparation and professional development. So that's a real win for school librarians to be specifically mentioned as one of the types of educators that is eligible for professional development related to ESSA. And then on page 28, there's a mention of the Montana Library Association in relationship to improving the quality and effectiveness of educators, so that you can also read that to mean professional development. And I do believe that the reason why the Montana Library Association is mentioned is because MLA provided a letter stating that they were there to assist. And so that is a real win. It demonstrates that the steering committee that is responsible for writing the draft plan listened to our input, and we are very well positioned to assist in making sure that this state plan really speaks to the needs of our students through effective school library programs. So I want to talk just briefly about the local planning process. It's going to occur after the U.S. Department of Education approves the state plan. There are a lot of unknowns, so I'll just share with you what I do know. Some of the unknowns have to do with the fact that we are going to have a new state superintendent in January, and we are not sure of the direction that this planning process will take. It will be dependent on the pleasure of the state superintendent, but what I can tell you is that the ESSA planning process is on every local school administrator's radar. The superintendents of your school districts, as well as other educational leaders in your district. And one of the concrete things that you can do right now is to make sure that those administrators, those superintendents and educational leaders know that you are interested in this process and that you are willing to help formulate the local education agency plans. So my suggestion to you is to begin talking with your administration now about being included in this planning process. And if we can get a seat at the table during the local planning process, then we can really help all of the stakeholders to understand how important a school library program is to the teaching and learning of all students in the state of Montana. So again, some things that you can do now is, first of all, go to OPI's website, read that state plan, and provide comments. So take a look at the state plan and see where there are some synergies between school libraries and the content that is in the state plan. Like I said, it's an 82-page state plan. It goes into a lot of detail about accountability systems, supports for migrant learners, supports for English language learners, supports for students that are in high poverty areas, and all of those pieces can be touched by a school library program. So read through that state plan, that draft plan, get yourself familiar with it, and provide some comments back to OPI about the plan. Another thing that you can do is to continue what you already do, which is to discuss the value of effective school libraries with stakeholders. So anytime you're around the water cooler or something wonderful is happening in your library that is collaborative and is supporting the teaching and learning efforts in your school, make sure that you are representing the school library as a place of teaching, learning, and discovery, and try to make those connections between what happens in the larger school setting and the school library. I'd ask that you subscribe to Wired and the SLMD email list and watch for updates and action alerts. We will probably issue an action alert in the next few days. It might be after the Thanksgiving holiday, but after we've had a chance to meet with some folks and to formulate some draft talking points that we can pass on to you to assist you in making your own personal comments on the state plan. And so watch for those updates and action alerts. And then if you have any information or responses, you can pass those along to me. The School Library Media Division of MLA, the Montana Library Association, has created an ESSA steering committee. I am chair, and there are 5 other members on this committee, and we are working diligently to coordinate advocacy efforts to ensure that school libraries and school librarians are represented in the state plan as well as in any of the school district plans as well. So again, if you have any questions or need additional information, you can see my email there on the screen, and my phone number is there as well. There's a lot of things that we don't know about how this process is going to play out, but as long as we are vocal and we are advocating for all students through advocating for effective school library programs, we are in a really great position to ensure that that we can get a seat at the table and obtain some of the funds for both our programs to benefit students as well as to benefit professional development for librarians. And that's all I have.
That's fantastic, Anne. And so I would just open up the floor if there are those of you who have questions that you'd like to ask now. You're more than welcome to speak up with your voice and do that. Also, we have the discussion, the Google document, discussion document. I'll put the link again in the chat for that. If you'd like to put your questions or suggestions in that document as well. I'll just pull this over here really quick so you can see what it looks like. For those who would be watching the recording, this is a chance for them to kind of enter into this conversation as well. That's one of the options. But that being said, are there questions for Anne while we are all together on the line? Don't forget to unmute yourself.
And you might have more questions after you actually take a look at the plan. It's pretty extensive. I'm still going through it myself. But if you do have questions in the future, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I will answer them the best I can, or assist you in any way I can. The other thing that I forgot to mention is that the ESSA steering committee is working with a political action committee called Every Library. They received a generous donation from the Rosen Publishing Company to provide pro bono support in policy and strategy for advocacy to include school libraries and school librarians in the ESSA state plans all across the United States. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Every Library. You can take a look at their website at everylibrary.com. And again, they are a political action committee that is specifically focused on library issues, and they are providing us with technical and policy assistance.
They're a great partner.
This is Debbie Kramer.
Go ahead, Debbie.
I just wanted to let you know that Every Library will have a good presence at our conference in 2017. In fact, our main speaker, our keynote speaker, is Erica Findley from everylibrary.org, and she's going to be speaking on library workers, stable library funding, advocacy, and that kind of thing at the conference. So I'm glad that we're working in partnership.
That's fantastic. They're really good people. And I was just showing on the screen the OPI homepage, the link to the Montana plan that Anne has been talking about, and there is a survey that a link for a survey that you can use to include your comments on the draft Montana plan. Let's see. You can also use the chat to enter any questions or comments or links, and that will be just another way that we can track back and continue our conversation. if you want to just speak up, go ahead and speak up. I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of information things, and feel free to interrupt me. This is the link to that Google document for discussion. And just as a reminder, the slides from today's presentation, as well as the link to the recording, a link to the discussion document, are all on the Montana Teacher-Librarian Google site. The actual slides and that sort of thing are here in this window, and you'll see other links there as well. Also, if you want to earn renewal units for this online professional learning community, you can enroll in the course Teacher Librarian Online PLC on the Teacher Learning Hub, and you're more than welcome to do that. To join the school library or Wired Montana listservs, if you send me an email, cbartow@mt.gov, I can add you to that school library listserv if you aren't already. Or if you go to the Montana Library Association website, you can find the directions to get subscribed for Wired as well. And as always, I hope to get some feedback on what you thought about this session today. You can use this link to enter a quick response to a survey, and that helps me to improve this experience for everyone. So that is much appreciated. And you always have my contact information as well. But that being said, are there other questions or thoughts that have occurred to you while I was rambling on just then? Wait time. We're practicing wait time. Well, I know it's a lot to think about, and you have ways to, be able to review this information. Don't hesitate to be in contact with Anne in particular, to be connected to the efforts that the Montana Library Association are undertaking on behalf of school libraries in the state. And I hope that you will all be in touch again soon with additional questions. Anne, was there anything else that you'd like to say to wrap things up? And then I'll end the recording, and then we can continue to visit as well.
Well, I would just like to wrap it up by saying that the support of the Montana Library Association has been invaluable in this process, and so thank you very much to the executive board for supporting these efforts. And this is going to work if we are vocal and we advocate for our students through what we know is a wonderful opportunity for them through the school library. So it can't just be a couple of people saying that school libraries are important. It's really going to take a concerted effort across the state for librarians and other stakeholders to really have their voices heard through this process. So stay tuned for more updates, and we'll be in touch with more information as we know it.
I think that is the perfect statement to end our session today. Thanks everybody for joining live, and we won't be getting together in December. We'll take the holidays off, but come back together in January for another online professional learning community. So thank you very much.